What's up, it's Phil from Phil Exposed, and in today's episode I'm going to be talking about my current thoughts on overtraining and also why you shouldn't be slacking off on your assistance and accessory lifts. Because I've been in the fitness industry for a few years now, and I've been noticing that there's a lot of things that gain popularity, die down a bit, and in the future they kind of gain more popularity again. So you look at stuff like CrossFit, it's definitely popular, powerlifting is definitely on the rise, but there's other forms of lifting that are slowly dying down or just aren't as popular as they used to be, but they might come back. The same thing can be said about training beliefs, philosophies, and principles. You know, a lot of stuff like minimalist programs are kind of popular right now in the fitness YouTube community, and also stuff like overtraining is very popular as well. So I'm gonna address these topics in this video right now. Okay, so the first thing I want to address would have to be the minimalist programs, because there's a lot of experts online in the fitness community who are really promoting and marketing minimalist type programs which don't have a lot of assistance lifts, and they pretty much just have the bare minimum. That's why they're called minimalist programs, and they do have the bare minimum of great exercises, but the exercise selection is piss poor, and in my opinion these kinds of programs are not optimal because you're going to develop a lot of overuse injuries and there's just not enough variety to them. So we talk about specific training. You want to get good at, a deadlift, a squat, or a bench. You have to do that lift often, and that's true to a certain extent, but if you only do those lifts, you're not going to be maximizing your progress. So this is where things get interesting, because a lot of these marketing gurus online know that the general population is very lazy and they don't want to work too hard, but they want to maximize their progress. I know this is very contradicting, but this is what they're basically trying to promote to the general population. So they're going to say stuff like, oh, train twice a week, the sessions are going to last an hour max, and you could basically take 5 days off. So those 5 days, you really need them to recover. And you're only going to be training for an hour each session because you're going to be doing the basic lifts, which are really taxing, and you don't need to do too many assistance lifts or any assistance lifts at all for that matter, because the assistance lifts are basically going to tap too much into your recovery and you don't want to be overtraining. And this whole overtraining thing, I keep hearing it from video to video. It's becoming very popular now, and I personally think that it's very possible to be overtraining, but I'd say 99% of people will never even reach that state because they don't know what overtraining actually is like. They don't know what it feels like. And if you're eating properly and you're sleeping, at least 7 hours a day, you're most likely not going to be overtraining. And you could probably get away with training, an hour, 2 hours a day in the gym if you really wanted to. And if you look at stuff like, you look at a lot of construction workers, a lot of these people don't even train in the gym, but they're able to work a 9 to 5 where they're doing heavy manual labor. And a lot of these guys, they smoke, they drink, they're not even in great shape to begin with, but they're able to do this hard labor, all this heavy lifting in these long hours, 5 days a week. But you're training, you're a lifter, and you're only training like twice a week. To me, it doesn't make sense. So a lot of these people who are talking about you're going to be overtraining if you train too much, I personally don't buy it. I personally think that the body is able and capable of doing a lot more than you guys think, especially if you're eating and you're sleeping enough. Okay, so you guys can only imagine how this whole minimalist way of thinking, along with the overtraining belief, these two things put together are a perfect recipe for disaster for lifters trying to maximize their progress, because a lot of these lifters now are going to be second guessing their assistance and accessory work because they have a minimalist way of thinking and they don't want to be overtraining. So if you're watching this and you're one of those guys, I personally advise you to not think like that, because if you're an intermediate or if you're an advanced lifter, and even if you're a novice lifter, you could benefit from some assistance and some accessory lifts, because you can't just do the big lifts, the big compound lifts like the deadlifts, the squats, and the bench, especially if you're an intermediate or an advanced lifter. You're going to need some assistance and some accessory lifts, because one, a lot of these lifts are a lot easier on your recovery. Two, they're going to address weak points, and these are a lot of things that you can't do with just the big lifts alone. So if you're weak at the bottom of a deadlift, working on your technique will only do so much to a certain extent. So of course, if you're a novice, it'll do a lot, but you're going to reach a certain point where you're going to need to throw in some assistance and some accessory lifts to really attack certain weak points so you can really address this issue. And assistance lifts are perfect for this because a lot of assistance and accessory lifts aren't extremely taxing, or at least they aren't as taxing as the main lift itself. So you take something like a deadlift, it's arguably one of the most taxing lifts. But if you were to talk about some deadlift assistance and accessory lifts, like, back extensions, pen lay rows, unilateral rowing variations, core work, stuff of that nature, it's not as taxing as the deadlift itself, but the benefit is that it's going to add more frequency, it's going to add more volume to your program while simultaneously building the deadlift. So you get the best of both worlds, and it's happiness all around. So the big point that I'm trying to make here is, whether you're a powerlifter or not, you need some assistance and some accessory lifts in your program, because you most likely have goals on getting stronger on certain lifts. It could be the big three, or maybe you even have your own big three. Maybe you want to get strong in an overhead press, a front squat, and like a Romanian deadlift or something. But generally speaking, if you want to get strong at very specific lifts or the big three, you need your assistance and some accessory lifts, because these are very easy on recovery, so they're not as taxing. They're going to add extra frequency and volume, and they are going to carry over to your main lift, granted if they're somewhat specific enough. So you're going to have to find out what really works for you. Not every lift's going to carry over as much as you want, but you're going to have to find out through like trial and error. But generally speaking, in my opinion, most programs would benefit from having some assistance lifts and some accessory exercises, like some rows of all kind, like bilateral and unilateral, some single leg work, because it's easy on the low back, but it still stresses one limb at a time. Some curls, some extensions, some direct rear delt work, some ab work, some direct oblique work, have some direct low back work, hamstring curls, some glute ham raises, some reverse hypers, lifts of that nature. You just can't go wrong, because they're not that hard in your recovery, and they're just countless benefits. Yeah, so there you guys have it. Those are some of my quick thoughts on overtraining, minimalist programming, and also why you shouldn't be slacking off on your assistance and some accessory lifts, because I feel like it's just very popular in today's day and age to promote doing less and less. But I'm basically bringing you guys back to the real world and telling you guys that there's nothing wrong with doing the extra work. There's nothing wrong with throwing in some extra unilateral rows and some extra lifts that are basically going to help you with your performance in the big lifts. So don't let these marketing gurus online tell you that you could get away with just doing the minimum, and that, you could just do these 30-minute workouts twice a week, 3 times a week, and you're going to be good. If you really want to maximize your progress, doing a bit more in most cases is going to benefit you. Minimalist programs, in my opinion, will only give you minimalist results. So if you really want to maximize your progress, take your main lifts very seriously, but also take your assistance and accessory lifts seriously too, because they're basically going to build up the pyramid. So let me know in the comment section below what you think. Do you take your assistance and accessory lifts seriously? Do you slack off on them? Are you following a minimalist program? Do you believe in overtraining? And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video.